It's always the hardest part to go back to that moment. It was between volleyball matches, between sets, and Jody and I were both there.
We saw her fall by the net, and my first instinct was that she must have tripped or stumbled on something.
And we went over, and it became very clear very quickly that it wasn't her fainting because I couldn't get her to come back.
I just remember in a flash of a second, everything in life is different.
I remember very distinctly sitting over her, kneeling over her, saying, "Liv, come back to me." You go back to that moment and it feels like it's happening now. To look at your daughter laying down there and just turning blue and not being responsive to anything. You feel so helpless.
A gentleman came forward and found an AED device, and we now know that saved her life. Then they got her back on the road over to Children's Mercy, and at that point, I rode in the front seat. I could hear a lot of activity in the back. They were sounds that no parent should ever have to hear. And so I remember nervously trying to connect with the driver. It was a long drive, and I just asked him if he could safely drive and hold my hand, and we prayed. They decided to medically induce a coma, and so she was in that state for three and a half days. 3.5 days after they brought her out of the coma, it was that following December, as in a year and a half later, and they said, we now know what happened. Her disease has progressed enough, and we now know that she has restrictive cardiomyopathy.
So she was born with cardiomyopathy, and the only choice was to do a heart transplant.
There was a distinct period of time of going from Johnson County mom, where everything is just, you've got dinner in the crock pot and everything's normal and typical, to, I don't think our life is ever going to be the same.
The first time I heard the word heart transplant was from my parents. We had just gotten back from the Mayo Clinic visit after that 6.5-hour heart cath. And I heard that as a freshman. That was hard. I had to stop playing sports and everything at that point, so that was really tough for me because I was used to spending 6-8 hours a week on the volleyball court, plus tournaments and that kind of thing.
I was just getting ready to walk out the door, and I got a call, and I had never heard Olivia's voice like this. And it was giggly, and I could hear her smiling through the phone, but I could also hear her voice shaking. "We just got the call, Mom, we just got the call."
And I'll never forget that moment where she said, "We've got a heart."
So the actual surgery did not start until 11:30 that night. And then that morning they came out and said, "She's doing beautifully. The new heart loves her."
Olivia is a rock star, and so her post-transplant experience is one of making it look easy. If I could create a transplant patient, that would be my transplant patient. The American Heart Association, I think, is one of the paramount parts of medicine for us as cardiologists and for the community. I believe that the American Heart Association is the reason that we continue to make the advancements that we do, with the support they give physicians, the educational meetings to spread the information and the things that we're learning.
Now in the future, I'm hoping to go to Arizona State and major in sports broadcast, and I'd like to work for CBS as a sideline reporter for the NFL.
Olivia is an amazing young lady who has some of the strongest perseverance that I have ever seen. You know, she has goals and aspirations to be a journalist. I believe she will do that, and we will see her on TV because she's an amazing young woman who happens to have had a heart transplant. That's just Olivia.